Now that you gave it away, what is this? That's the best test to have, huh? This is a flute, and this is a part of the woodwind family, like clarinet, oboe. Why do you think this is called a woodwind if it's made out of metal?
You blow into it, not unlike brass.
Well, then why isn't it called a brass instrument? It's made out of metal. Why is it called a woodwind?
Brass instrument, you have to make your legs like.
You know, you have to, yeah, it's a little different, but why is it called a woodwind? Do you know why? Why?
No, I'll just probably.
Well, I'll let you in on the secret. The reason it's called a woodwind is that many hundreds of years ago it was made out of wood. Right. And about 150, 160 years ago, give or take a couple decades, they found that the problem was that the wood had to be thick enough so it wouldn't crack. And they would crack very easily, they would warp. So somebody got the brilliant idea that why don't we just make it out of metal? So now, and the other thing is by making it out of metal, it's a little brighter sounding, and it's better in an orchestra, you can hear it better. If you hear a really wooden flute, it's very soft sounding, and it would get buried in the orchestra. So a metal flute's a little louder and a little brighter, so it was made out of metal from now on, and it has a much brighter sound, it has a bigger range too. What do you think flute plays, high or low? High. There's always one like that. Well, the lowest you can go on a flute is not very low. So. It's not very low, but it goes high. So what do you think? Is it a happier sound or a sad sound?
Happy.
It would be happy, yeah. Whenever you see like cartoons and stuff like that, what's always around? Birds, right? So you got, right? It's always describing birds or happy and stuff like that. The flute is very popular in bands, orchestras, some jazz, pop music. Flute can be used for anything. I don't know what I can play with it. Name a tune. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you always play Mozart. Too early in the morning, still. That's the flute. It's very popular. Boys and girls, it doesn't matter. I know some people think it's a girl's instrument, but guys play it too, so it's a really good instrument to play. Yeah, and then we do my favorite instrument, the best instrument. Hint, hint. The best instrument.
Is it a trumpet?
Yeah. All right. This is a saxophone. The saxophone is also a woodwind instrument, but it was never made of wood. And the reason it's called a woodwind instrument, it's actually a hybrid. It's half brass, half woodwind, but it's considered a woodwind. And the reason it's half brass is because it is made out of brass, and it always has been. Well, what makes it a woodwind is it uses same thing as a clarinet, which is a reed. A single reed. You can see it on my mouthpiece right there. Now, same thing, you know, it doesn't make a sound on its own, but if I play through the mouthpiece, and it doesn't sound very good. It might sound like when you begin to play the saxophone, it might sound like that. But you know, somebody got the bright idea, you know, you can't just invent a mouthpiece. You have to invent something to go with it, because nobody wants to listen to that all day. everybody wants to see. That's not impressive. So instead, they invented a saxophone to go with it. So saxophone comes in all different sizes. The size that almost everybody starts is an alto sax. Right? There's a smaller one called a soprano. There's a larger one called a tenor, and then there's a baritone and a bass. You don't have to worry about that. But this alto is what almost everybody starts. It's about as low as it goes. It's about as high as it goes. Although it can go higher, but we won't go there. So anyways, saxophone is mostly known as a, what kind of instrument? What kind of music? Jazz, yeah, jazz. But it also is in the band. It's also in the orchestra, although rarely in an orchestra. I used to play for the Boston Symphony, and I played saxophone for them. You didn't play very often because there weren't a lot of saxophones. But it does play classical. So it can play nice stuff. And then it can also play what everybody expects it to play. So you can play jazz on it too. You can also play rock, whatever you want. Saxophone is, my favorite, of course. Tin. You want to play saxophone? Anyways, that's the saxophone. Any questions about saxophone? No saxophone, no question. Good, that's what I like.